So I'm going to tell you about when we sold LaDainian Tomlinson's house, and not because he's a Hall of Fame football player, but because there are so many lessons experienced there that you as a homeowner can avoid by seeing the mistakes that he had made. He had been on the market for 2 years with a different agent, unsold, and then the conversation that ensued when we took it over, had it sold full price in 16 days. Here's what changed. Not a lot, other than one key conversation. I showed up and said, LT, what do you really want out of the sale? You've been on the market for 2 years. What are we really looking for? And he said, well, Dan, honestly, I'd take 3.2. I said, well, then explain to me why you're listed at 3.8 if you would take 3.2. Because I also shared with him in the process of asking him that question that there had not been a sale in the entire neighborhood over 3.5 in over a year, yet he's listed where no one's looking, in other words. He's listed at a price point that has zero activity, and he'd actually take a much lower price that he'd be happy with, and that frankly would have honored the property. That would have been a proper value for it. So he said, well, Dan, because we need negotiating room. And this is the lesson. There is no such thing as needing negotiating room. What that negotiating room cost him was years on the market, with a vacant home, mind you, for some of those years. And it cost him a ton of carrying costs, a lot of headache, a lot of just wasted time. We repositioned the home to $3.5 million, not the 3.2 he told me he would take, because I knew we could get him more. So we repositioned it to $3.5 million. And I also had a conversation that was a tough conversation to have because they were adamantly against staging. Most agents would have just let that go. They would have said, okay, LT, you're the one to stage, we won't stage. But I said, my man, we have a 8,000 square foot cavern here with just nothing. I mean, it's empty. We need to stage the property in order to dress it up. And so long story short is I had a tough conversation with them that pushed them to their edge of comfort, but I knew was the right thing. So we implemented the staging. We implemented the pricing that brought it in alignment with where buyers actually were looking. We got rid of some of the negotiating room, and we implemented our sales strategy. End result, sold 16 days, full price for $300,000 more than he would have taken, and thrilled with the result, obviously, because it changed everything for him that had been a 2-year nightmare, solved in 16 days, but by positioning, by understanding the way the market functions, by understanding where there are buyers and where there are not, by also improving the presentation, those same mistakes, you could jump right to the end result. That's one of the reasons why the Wall Street Journal's named us among the top teams in the nation, is because we can impart that experience on you so you could have a better result faster, quicker, and don't have to go through those learning pains. The thing that is sometimes hard for sellers to understand is that negotiating room, and they say, well, why won't they just make us an offer? You have to understand that in this marketplace, buyers are accustomed to the asking price is the sales price. So will you get lower offers eventually? Sure, okay? In LT's case, he didn't. The gap was just too big. But will you, if you just kind of are overpriced, will you eventually get those lower offers? Yes, but it's going to be after you've been on the market for some time, because if you put yourself in the buyer's shoes or in your own buyer's shoes, how would you negotiate a home that had been on the market that you love for 5 days versus one that has been on the market for 50 days? You're going to make very different offers and react differently to the asking price. 5 days into it, you're thinking, okay, that's what we need. 50 days into it, you say, who cares about their asking price? Let's just make an offer. But why would you want to work with a buyer with that mentality versus one who is happy, proud, and feels lucky to have your home? Position it right. I'm Dan Beer with the Beer Home Team at eXp Realty, and we'll help you make a smooth move in San Diego.